Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to a man that will never bow to her Highness. A man that would rather get his tongue cut off than to heil to her Highness. You're listening to the Bruce Montalvo Show.
What's up, y'alls? Hi.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the excellence of radio execution live from the epicenter of Nuked, Brooklyn, New York, and it is April 1st, and the Bruce Montalvo Show is going off the air. April Fools. It's April 1st, 2016. What'd you think of my April Fools?
Yeah, you didn't even introduce me. You didn't even say who it was.
Because the millions and millions of El Gran Montalvo's fans know who you are. You are like Isis to Osiris.
Oh, God.
You are La Gran Jaja. Right? It's like La Gran Manzana. You know exactly. People know who you are. Why don't you say hello?
Yo, what's up, yo? This is the Jaja, the mostest with the hostess. You know what I'm saying? I got the not to be boasting and shit like that, but here I am,
very
floating from coast to coast. Yeah, braggadocious, not to be bragging. Anyway, yo, what's up, yo? This is Jaja, your favorite female, unfortunately white rapper, but I don't really have any issues with it either way. So
you got some white privilege that no, you don't, because
no,
that's
I don't.
only granted. That's only granted to Nazis. But anyway, let's get started here. Thank you for joining us, folks, from wherever you're listening to. This is the Bruce Montalvo Show. You can listen to us on your iPad, your iTouch, your Android phone. Go to Spreaker.com, type in the Bruce Montalvo Show, and be sure to go to TalkStreamLive.com. That's right, the best in streaming talk radio. That's TalkStreamLive.com, where we are on Fridays, 9 p.m. Eastern. And thank you so much for joining us, folks. Again, it is just insane what's going on with Indian Point, right? I mean, now I'm watching the Batman series Gotham, and it seems that they have some revelation of the method going on, some predictive programming, some subliminal messaging. I saw that they were going to a compound that was called Indian Hill, radioactive waste at Indian Hill, and now there's Indian Point News here off of Buchanan in New York City, the nuclear power plant, Indian Point,
and Turkey
is still
Hill
leaking. Well, that's over in Florida.
Right,
so you see the sublimated message pretty much in the Fox Batman series Gotham, which is basically filmed in Brooklyn here, folks. I mean, they filmed it right on our block.
Literally, right on our block, like 150 feet away starting, and then they were in all of our neighborhoods, that we frequent everywhere they're shooting it, because Gotham is supposed to be really Brooklyn anyway.
Yeah, but the thing is that they're laughing at us, okay? Her Highness and everyone at the Anglo World Order that runs this facade that we call the United States, they're laughing at us because New York is got a radiation leak worse than Fukushima.
Yeah, I think that anybody buying in New York these days has to have their head screwed on backwards. If you're here, whatever, just dip your shit eventually.
But I got the news right here. I mean, now it's become a joke. Faulty bolts discovered at Indian Point.
Hundreds they're blaming it on.
First it was bird shit, bird poop, pigeon poop, the good feathers flying around and taking a dump caused the nuclear spillage, the tritium that's flowing uncontrollably into the Hudson River. I mean, this is cause for alert. This is a red alert, folks. This is an emergency broadcast still. I mean, how long have I been talking about this? They're keeping it under wraps. Yeah. Completely under wraps. It's become a joke.
Well, yeah, Bruce, there's a good reason for that. I mean, if everybody was alerted to the fact that their water has nuclear reactive byproducts floating in it, they might just run out of New York and a lot of commerce would be lost. And instead, they're actually building more Agenda 21 compounds, living on top of each other, squished together, with like no sun, no real beauty, except for what's in your mind, I guess, at the end of the day.
And even that might still be hackable by the NSA, right? Who knows?
You think the NSA can Yo, you were walking down the street, and it was really weird. You were just noting the Empire State Building one day at a certain angle, from like in Brooklyn, and it was like down the street. It was dark, and then as soon as you got home, you saw on your Facebook it was like targeted to you.
Yeah, a bunch of pictures of the Empire State Building saying, "Oh, look how great it looks." But that happens because with this technology you're carrying around, your phone and everything, I mean, it's on all the time. Apple says that they don't have back doors to your equipment. That's a bunch of malarkey because they can get in there whenever they want, however they want. It's no problem. Have you ever heard of 1984? You ever heard of Big Brother? Big Brother's everywhere, folks. He's listening to you. He's listening to me. He's listening to us all. And they literally think they own you.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you watched this old Nickelodeon cartoon called Rocko's Modern Life. There's this like corporation called Conglamo, and their slogan is "They own you," and that's what they think. They believe that they own you, that you're their property. I mean, hell, they even trade you on the stock market. Last time I checked,
I wonder how much my stock's going for. They be taking
out of the charts, off the Richter scale.
Yeah, the amount of material that's being solicited, stolen from just from day-to-day talking with Bruce, jokes, ideas that we bounce around, things that he says ends up like 5 minutes later out of somebody's mouth. They got us like really in a little guinea pig.
That's why we got to slap the taste out of the New World Order's mouth.
Yeah, they got us in a little hamster cage watching us, little like elves all day
making
nobody's
jewelry.
Hamster. You know what I'm saying?
I ain't nobody's hamster, and if I am, I'm like the Rambo of all hamsters.
Rambo of all hamsters.
That's right.
Bruce Montalvo.
That's what we're calling this show. This show is 1984. Surveillance state is here. They own you and your kids. That's right, folks. The state now believes that you belong to them, and their kids, your kids are their kids, and their kids are your kids. They own your kids, right? They're preparing these schools for the prison industrial complex. That's all they are, these schools. Every single school your child goes to, if you're a parent, is part of the prison industrial complex now.
Absolutely, Bruce. They've completely dumbed down everything from education, even to politics. The schools are just completely watered out with
have you seen
not created for the kids to excel at.
Have you seen the food they're feeding these kids? I mean, seriously, it's worse than prison food.
Wow.
It's worse than prison food. I'm looking at it right here. Totally gross school lunch pictures going viral. And who can you thank for this? You can thank the first tranny in the White House. That's right, folks. I mean, these school lunches, if you just Google up Michelle Obama disgusting food, you're going to see what they're putting these kids through. Okay? And they have these remedial imbeciles serving this food to the kids. I know a lot of them personally. A lot of them, folks. I mean, they're imbeciles. They're probably going to go right out and, hey, voy a votar para la Hillary, man. That's what they're going to do. Okay, they put their kids in, like, ESL classes just so they can eat the disgusting food. Now, back in my day, the food wasn't that disgusting.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Michelle or Michael or whatever it calls itself is just serving this god-awful, disgusting freaking food.
It has nothing to do with the Obamas. That has been going on forever, Bruce. Come on, man. That shit is so nasty.
No, it hasn't been going on forever. Because at my high school, they had these little cheesy potatoes that were pretty good. Okay, the pizza wasn't as greasy. All right? We had some a la carte, or whatever they called it. Okay? But now the kids are and they're pissed. They're pissed off. The school kids are blaming Michelle Obama. They're even tweeting pictures. It's gone viral. It's been going on for a while, but I mean, her disgusting school lunches is part of the 1984 surveillance state. What I was saying, that your kids are now being put in the prison industrial camp prison industrial complex. It basically is a prison camp. They're putting them in these things. When you're dropping them off at the front of the school, that's where you're dropping them off to, like the gate of Rikers. That's where you're leading them to.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting about school? At the end of the day, like teachers have it all wrong. Like some people just don't test well, and some people have a very, like it's really weird. They could know the subject inside and out, and they could be there and even participate. And what the teacher's saying can actually resonate so much, even though that student might even be a failing student, and then at the time, and then years later, like, you know, you'll go back and thank the teacher, for example, that, you know, isn't that what happened to you, Bruce?
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, I had a psychology teacher that I'm still talking to today. He's going to come on this show, more than likely, if I ask him, and he wants to be on. Very smart guy, pretty much got me started in analyzing music and the symbology and the hidden meanings behind music. I mean, some of these lesson plans really stuck with me, and that's the thing. I didn't particularly test well, but you know, it's just something that more hands-on students. That's what you want to do. You want to be hands-on with these like PowerPoints, and if you get to write, you know, out an essay, or you know, you pretty much do it yourself.
But some of these multiple choices, for example, if that's what the teacher's doing is like multiple choice, or
and that's what it's becoming. Communist Core, Common Core. It's the standardized testing, and that's what's going on.
It doesn't really amount much for aptitude
or
intelligence, or definitely not creativity. So a creative person's mind, there is no actual test for the IQ. So one could be a creative genius, and they're like, you know, testing low on some like weird mechanical scores, you know, and that's just like...
And you got to look at the scores overall, the United States. I mean, you see the West Coast has the worst, like, schools, the worst students. Why? Because they're letting in an influx of people who don't want to be American.
I see.
People who don't want to read in English. People that as soon as you start trying to teach, let's say, your student, your daughter, your son, how to read in English, these people, these PC libtards that are working at these prison industrial complex schools, who knows, maybe they got a hairnet and they're slinging meatballs in the back, they just don't like it. They don't like it. They don't want to assimilate. They don't want to be American, and it hurts. I mean, it hurts. These people end up using the state against you.
Yeah, it happens. A lot of times these people, they don't know, they want to keep they don't know how to really excel, so they only know the system that they end up playing. And it's just because they don't have the community. Look, when I lived in Brazil, I had to speak Portuguese. I learned Spanish when I was in, you know, school and stuff. Like, I was really good. Like, I tested high in Spanish, like 98 and stuff, in regions. But, for the most part, like, I haven't really had much ability to use it, but I can, like, if I need to get something across to somebody and I understand, like, you know, what the hell's going on, you know.
That's right. If we go to Tijuana, I'll tell you what tacos aren't dog tacos. We're like, no, esos son de pastor.
Yeah, es pastor.
Quiero pastor, no perro.
No perro.
Anyway, keep going.
Yeah, but, you know, that's the thing, is that people that come to this country, and I don't understand, like, how they could not learn the language. And especially if you have kids here. I mean, there's so many of these people, immigrants, that are, it's fine, you know, okay, you're a little bit lax, but, like, learn the language. Like, my great-grandmother spoke, like, Greek and Spanish, and she didn't speak much English, and then she came here and she learned the language. And when my grandfather died, he knew, like, 8 languages and stuff, and, like, so...
But that's what you get eventually with multiculturalism. Like when I'm walking down the streets of Chinatown here in New York, they're selling you pigeon on the side of the street. Okay, they're putting cat and rat and who knows what else into the chop suey.
Yeah.
It's absolutely disgusting. That's what you get.
Yeah,
eventually,
it's
that's
on
what you get. The disintegration of good old American exceptionalism beliefs in the school systems. And now anybody that's trying to teach even their own children, how to even read in English, or let's say that, you know, you you turned to Judaism, you converted, and now your old Catholic family has ostracized you. If you're out there, why don't you tweet us at Bruce Montalvo at Twitter and Jaja at Twitter, and we'd love to hear your questions, your concerns. If you've dealt with people like this, I'm telling you, the high-level Jesuits, actually retarded people, who don't even know what they're being used as. They'll let anybody in their house if it's a Luciferian Mormon that's Guatemalan, but they're working for the freaking Mormons. They'll still let them in.
Yeah.
I told the Baptist ladies to go shove it pretty much. You got Jesus in your life? What? A blonde-haired, blue-eyed Mason in my life? That's British? No, thank you, mate. I hear he's based off of Mithras anyway, mate.
Yeah, Bruce really freaked out those ladies.
I can't stand these people.
Yeah.
It's like...
And then they pray to Guadalupe, and then you know what?
Don't get me started on that.
Listen, there was a rabbi, and can I say something? Okay, Michael Savage had this quote from a rabbi, and I'm going to give him credit because we're credit's due.
Scavenge.
I'm not a stealer. Okay, and he said that the most important thing this rabbi said is God more important than your family? And in Judaism, the rabbi said, Judaism is a bunch of questions and ethics and discussions. It's never just one answer. But the overall opinion was that the family is higher than God, because you can't get to God for your family. If you're like a mother of a child, and you can't be praying to God without communicating and teaching your children. I mean, the thing about in the Jewish tradition, in the Torah, I think it says teach your children. So that's the problem that we find that's lacking in other religion. And I'm not religious, and I don't believe in a lot of it, but I do believe that a mother should teach their child. If a mother can't speak English and you're in America, well, and you only want your kid to speak in Spanish, you're not teaching your child, lady. You're fucking up.
Exactly, because, America's about making money and speaking English, and if you don't do either of those, then you fucking suck and you should get out of here.
Well, I thought years ago, the tests, they used to have a certain amount of tests that you had to take in English. It was true, Bruce. I don't know how they started influxing all these immigrants that don't speak a lick of English, and I think it's so fucked up. If I go to Germany, they're gonna ask me how much German do I know? 9. I know how to say hello.
But
Guten Tag,
I heard you mention. I heard you mention that they worship Guadalupe. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there's very Luciferian beliefs behind the Guadalupe. I mean, the Jesuits pretty much keep rebranding her from the Assyrian times, because it's also known as Ishtar. And again, what just transpired, you had Easter, which is pretty much a ritual to orgiastic Illuminati sex. And they pray to this demoness from Babylonian and Assyrian times. And I'm telling you, the Jesuits just pretty much rebranded this evil deity. If you look her up, Ishtar, they rebranded her into the Black Madonna. And there you see that the Black Madonna wants you to kneel to her crown. Okay, the little crowned baby she's holding, folks. And again, they took that, the Black Madonna, and they took that to Mexico, and that turned into the Virgin de Guadalupe. And it all goes back to, Sirius. I mean, what's Sirius? Sirius is Isis, that constellation. It's all just blatant, esoteric, just worship. In every holiday, every day of the week, it's all there.
Yep, it's a fertility. It's a fertility holiday. It usually takes place very pagan because, that's where the eggs come from, because it's fertility. It's supposed to be
exactly.
Yeah, so it just has to do with the springtime, and people should have sex or whatever. But it is. That's why Bruce is saying orgiastic, because it's it goes back to these pagan tribal.
Well, that's how the Satanists, that's how the Illuminatis, that's how the Alumbrados, that's how they all worship.
Why do you think we have Playboy bunnies? You understand? It comes out of that fertility, like they call them bunnies because it's all Ishtar worship. It's all the same thing. It's like that.
And that's right. That's why your children belong to the state, because they want to put them on a slab and sacrifice them to freaking Moloch. Okay? They want to take them from loving, nurturing, good-hearted parents that all they wanted to do was just teach their kid how to read The Cat in the Hat. They want to take their kid right out of their freaking arms, put it on a slab, and turn it into the effigy that's burned at the Bohemian Grove. That's what these sycophants, that's what these PC idiots that hate American exceptionalism want to do nowadays. They want to bring the third world shitholes into this country and destroy the fabric that is.
But didn't you say once that on Bohemian Grove that like some guy, Henry Macau or something like that, wrote that, because he might have had first-hand witness, like testimony that what's-her-face, Miley Virus was having sex with Billy Ray Cyrus
Yeah,
in front of
apparently
people?
her father, the father of Miley Cyrus, did something strange for a piece of change to her so that his album records could go higher. Who knows? So her album sales could go higher. I don't know. These people are part of the royal arc of Freemasonry. You look that up. Those are the guys that are involved in the mind control that basically are Nazis, folks, that established themselves in the 30s in Los Angeles, in the Rustic Canyon area, the Laurel Canyon area. They all invaded the military-industrial complex. They started the Temple of Set. Again, that's the NSA. How do you think all these Lebensborn are talentless? So they have to snoop on genuine artists to steal from them to then, create a derivative, some piece of crap for their own.
That's right.
That's who's behind the recording industry. It's these freaking Alumbrado Jesuits behind the freaking studio, putting up their puppets, their freaking
man-made creations
up there, and then they're running the mic.
Yeah,
they're running the board.
Manufactured consent. I mean, they have everybody. It's like this. Picture this, guys. Like, they got everybody running around thinking this illusion that you could become like a famous artist, whether a famous painter, a famous actor, a famous singer, because America is all about that 15-minute of fame, right, which is reality TV. So everybody's very disillusioned, but in essence, you never see too many changes. In the art world, you still see fucking Damien Hirst, you still see Andre Serrano, you still, you just the top 10 people. You'll still hear them every day. Jeff Koons, the same names over and over and over again. And there's a reason for that. They don't really, and occasionally they'll let like another 2 or 3 people in there for a second.
Yeah, they only let people who draw swastikas all over their artwork and display them at their art galleries. Yeah, that's the only people they let in. They got to have guys with swastika paintings.
Yeah, but in actuality, you see, those positions are not really for the average person. That's just the illusion that you can obtain it. So what they do is that they'll take the most passionate people, like the ones that don't have a lick of German in them, at all, or the ones that weren't real, like, privy to the club, like born into the blood. That could teach you how, the ways that they want you to be. Because most of these people, like Coheed and Cambria, those niggas is like propaganda. Like, they work for the state.
They turn into propaganda now. And if you go to my YouTube, you'll see that I destroyed that libtard. And he made fun of Justice Scalia's death. I mean, it was the Bohemian Grove themselves who sacrificed babies, who killed this man, Justice Scalia. I mean, at the very top order, you had Dick Cheney probably give that order to whack him. And these propagandists are going around singing about Mitch McConnell and how they love Obama. And it's just ridiculous. I mean, if you go back and you look at some of these losers' lyrics, they even talk about killing babies. Yeah. And they talk about Nazi floorboards and how they killed them under the floorboards and how they were... they had them all behind fences, and it's all there.
Yeah, it's all there.
And let me tell you something. These are the worst type of trolls to fight on the internet, because they'll troll you. They got all sorts of accounts. They're geeks. They're really geeks that don't even know how to give interviews. Don't even know music theory. Okay, I could play arpeggios behind my head, and these losers don't even know freaking music theory. And you'll be hearing more arpeggios from me soon, folks.
It's not like, an accident, all right? They do this as a way they're laughing. They're showing us that we're being targeted. It's almost like it's religious for them. So, but this can happen to anybody. And this is the thing, is that we know who gets picked and who doesn't get picked. But they try to take, like, other people that are creative people, and they don't want to, like, make them, they'd rather take their material and give it to one of their boys, or their girls, to push their agendas. And
again, because it's baby sacrifice, they're just worshiping this Moloch. Go look at the research. Okay, look up Saturn and Satan, and you'll see, the mission to Saturn or the mission to Mars. That's what it is. They're just promoting outright Satanism. NASA is run by the Nazis, and the whole thing with the Temple of Baal being built in New York and about to be set up everywhere, the Freemasons run Baal. Now, if you see this band that you mentioned, Coheed and Cambria, behind them is nothing but Illuminati triangles, and they're performing at Masonic halls, and it's not just them, but they're run by Jay-Z and all these puppets on a string that just happen to do the hand sign, putting it over their eye. I mean, how many artists are out there that belong to these losers?
Yeah.
These Viacom corporate suits. How many of them out there do all the hand signs, and they stick their hand in their pocket and put their hand over their eye and do the little asshole ring over their eye and all that lame freaking just fruitcake shit.
You know what's amazing? I mean, it's a little bit off the mark, but you have artists like Justin Bieber and Drake and who knows who else from overseas, from Canada. And then you have niggas like Ted Cruz, like running and like getting, like, I don't understand. So it's
he had his hand in his pocket.
Okay, so you have like all these guys like coming here and building their fame here. I don't understand that.
Yeah, all these Canadians. I don't understand all these freaking flapping head Canadians are over here trying to tell us what to do. And then you have Ted Cruz saying, oh yeah, I'm appointed by God to run America. I don't think so. I don't think God would want a freaking Canadian to run America, folks.
Oh, he said that? Aren't these like people supposed to feel like the people that are monarchs, they're supposed to have some bloodline they're trying to say they have some bloodline to Jesus or some shit like that. But that's their claim to monarchy and their bloodlines and stuff.
It's because there is no Jesus. Because
right.
If you do your research, the story goes all the way back to Mithras, to Dionysus, to Horus in Egypt. I mean, Egypt predates every religion. That's what the Illuminatis believe in.
Oh, shit.
They believe in Zoroastrianism and ancient Egyptian mythology.
Oh, Bruce, you're going to love this. I just see this. It says, Ishtar was often depicted as winged, wearing a starred rainbow necklace with burning eyes, the symbol of the spiritual light, and burning navel, the symbols for the fertility for the land of her people. Because of her descent and to return from the underworld, she is linked with Demeter, or is it Demeter? And to further this connection, she is often shown with ears of corn, which would be interesting, tortillas. It's interesting, so I could see it.
That's why she's promoted heavily in places like Mexico.
Yeah.
Disguised as La Virgen de Guadalupe. It's all Mexican death cult worship. That's what it is.
But it's more. It says cross-dressing was part of her cult.
Dear God.
She had the ability to alter a person's sex so that a man became a woman and vice versa.
And here's the thing. We talked about all these pop stars. I mean, you mentioned all these pop stars. I mean, one even being raped at the Bohemian Grove, possibly, Miley Cyrus. And then Justin Bieber, all these Canadians out there. I mean, what do they make them do? Okay, they make them take off their freaking shirts pretty much, and they put them in front of the youth, and that's what the youth is becoming, hypersexualized. I mean, they're going to turn us into eunuchs. The Illuminati is eventually going to turn us into eunuchs, every single one of us, because they want to hypersexualize us first. They want to have tranny bathrooms and all this degenerate crap everywhere, and then eventually cut your freaking dingling off, give her an FMG, and then you'll be an androgynous figure like what these one world order esoteric fucking psychopaths believe in.
And you know what's amazing is that it says that Ishtar herself is a bloodthirsty goddess, but she shows concern for her calf in the most motherly of ways. And this adds to the further dimension to her complex character.
And that is why you see at the Bohemian Grove, you see that they have a giant owl out there. But before, that owl was, in the Assyrian and Babylonian times, it was supposed to resemble the bull. The bull where the Canaanites would go and drop the baby there, and basically it would be a blood sacrifice.
You're perfect.
And that is what is going on now. And to get into politics, and speaking of Moloch and babies and sacrifice, what did Donald Trump say the other day that got him in trouble? He said that all women should be punished for having abortions. I mean, in a way, I mean, he's trying to hit that Bible thumping kind of like
in the weirdest of ways.
In the weirdest of ways, that vote. But I think this is the beginning of the end for him. I saw that Ted Cruz on a Fox Business News poll had 43%. He had 38%. I mean, all those numbers are a bunch of bullshit too, but it still kind of tells you the pulse of their fake hoax left-right paradigm, and it's like wrestling. You could almost just telegraph what the guy is going to do. Oh, he's going to drop him with the DDT. Oh, he's going to pull the guy's leg before the referee is able to count to 3. You know, you could kind of see it. So, I mean, there's another reference to baby sacrificing and all this, and it's become just like a freaking reality show with these GOP people.
Oh yeah, it's already just a stage show for us.
I mean, that's clearly going to make Hillary shine. She's going to come out and all the stupid libtards are going to be like cheering her on as she says, oh yeah, Donald Trump is an idiot and we should have more EBT babies to give them more EBT money and EBT food.
Well, you know, Bruce,
and not encourage hard, just work. God-honest work.
You know, Bruce, I knew it was a setup when he said that. It was so overtly dumb, and I know that Donald Trump is not a dumb man. It just keeps getting
dumber and dumber.
Yeah, and it was like, oh, let me say something that will hit on all women and it'll make it so dumb to trigger a response in all women to vote for Hillary. And that is why, my friends, Donald Trump is working for Hillary Clinton, and it's so obvious that way. You can see it. It's clear cut and dry. Okay, he comes out with wrestling moves like dumb. Hey, woman, you should be arrested if you don't have your baby. You know, I mean, he knows it himself. He's not even using 1/8 of what his potential is. I mean,
it's a joke.
1/8,000 potential. It's a joke.
It's an absolute joke. And speaking of Donald, we went to go pick up your artwork over in, what was it?
In Chelsea.
That's right, and that's supposed to be one of the most fruitcake flaming areas of New York. And somehow,
not really. There's way more.
And somehow your artwork is being shown there at a gallery, or was, because we're going to be broadcasting in Miami pretty soon, man. So we have to go pick up our things, man.
One of the galleries I dealt with.
Anyway, we went over there, and I just see the decadence of the art world, where you're walking down the street and they're showing you a guy in assless chaps as art. They think that's Art Nouveau.
Yeah, but as we were walking in, you forgot the picture of Trump with his penis out.
That was disgusting. I was about to get to that.
It was naked. It was sexualizing
It was a cartoon of Donald Trump stroking his beef. I mean, what the hell is wrong with that area in New York? Everything on that street is like completely fruitified. Yeah,
not everything, but there are things, of course, you know. I mean, there's a lot of gays that make art, of course, and there's a lot of gays collecting them. It has been, you know, the art world hasn't been so like S&M guy kind of crazy for a while, but now it's sort of, it's turning that way. Believe me, I got some invitations recently from some gay friends of mine with like S&M shows, so maybe it's becoming hot now. It hasn't, and the thing about Donald Trump being naked and showing his like drawn penis.
Well, they made him look like he was some type of Adonis when the guy is like a wrinkly old frog. The guy looks like a frog. Like he's about to ribbit, you know, whenever they ask him the next question.
I just want to know, like, who paid for that show because they knew that we were going to go there. Like, it just proves that the art is becoming propagandized and totally owned by the state. That's another thing. The New York, the American art world has always been about like some kind of a thought and intellectual movement. Okay, but now recently it's clearer that the state has interacted, and it always has since the 50s. You can look it up how the CIA was involved with postmodern art of the 50s and how they infiltrated. But it's there, and it's so overt now. Pushing an agenda.
Anyway, I got to see the ride back from the subway after drinking 12 beers the day before that, and it got pretty bumpy. And I puked on the way back, man. It's a good thing I didn't puke all over your artwork.
Yeah, like, you get car sickness every time you get into the back of these
like SUV type things. I don't like them. I like to be in
New York. That's why.
In my Lamborghini that I rented when I was in Vegas. Speaking of Vegas, folks, what was that display? That art display that we saw when we went to go pick up your artwork? It was like a drone flying over Las Vegas.
That was a guy in James Cohen Gallery. His name is Omar Fast. It was really, really surprisingly weird, cool show. And just actually the one video is amazing. And it transformed the gallery space into a vehicle. Like you felt that you were maybe something out of Epcot Center. Okay, but it wasn't a 360 room. And that's the thing, you felt like you were in a capsule flying around looking with a piece of glass in front of you, the world from that angle, and the room itself felt like it was spinning and moving. So you got this real sense of motion, of physical motion. So it was.
That's probably why I ended up puking in the first place later on.
It was a there was a few things, but yeah. What it did was that it was a drone, and it came very close to what was that?
The stratosphere.
Yeah.
It was flying around the stratosphere.
Yeah, going all around it, and you just felt like the whole room was tipping. It was very good, bravo, you know what I'm saying? But I really felt like that those cameras, it's no joke, and who the fuck is this guy, you know what I'm saying?
It's probably a NASA Nazi camera.
Yeah. And they push, what they do is that they'll give the state-of-the-art tools to some of the artists, and you'll wonder why some people have certain, pathways and positions and exhibitions and shit like that. And other times it's harder, even for the greatest of all. And they don't really. You think that the people that are famous are just the greatest? Not necessarily. Okay, a lot of the greatest are freaking just not around or just gave up, but they were robbed for all their material. Okay, and that's what happens to. That's what happens in this world. I mean, look at Nikola Tesla. He never got famous. You use his shit all day, all night. Some people know about him now, okay? But 50 years ago, people didn't really know, you know what I'm saying? Who Nikola Tesla was, you know what I'm saying? When my mother, you know what I'm saying? She didn't know what Nikola Tesla.
It's a travesty, really.
Right.
It's the father of alternating current.
Exactly, and television wouldn't be remote, wireless.
Radio, you wouldn't be able to listen to me right now, folks, if
VCRs.
It wasn't for Nikola Tesla.
Exactly.
And these breakthroughs in scalar energy.
Yeah, that's one thing, but I mean, just every kind of communication, the wireless technology and VCRs and television. I mean, just this guy was such a creative, inventive genius, and his inventions were basically co-opted in maybe by J.P. Morgan, but probably through the.
What are you talking about? He was whacked by J.P. Morgan.
Yeah, he was whacked.
And you know who he was whacked by?
Yeah.
He was whacked by SS. They hired SS to go in there and whack him. Do your research, folks. Don't take my word for it. Just go to the Library of Humanity, which is the internet, and I'm sure you'll find some interesting literature on that, folks.
And speaking of libraries, see, that's what I'm trying to get at, is that I'm not sure if Tesla had any kind of copyright in the Library of Congress, but...
Of course not, because all the patents were given to Morgan, and he probably owns it all.
Or, maybe...
Yeah, he bought Edison, that fraud Edison, of course.
Exactly, and they just either stole it from him, bought it, or... Just, I don't know, I know a lot of weird shit happened back then, so we don't really know, and Masons always are known for switching history. So this is what goes on in society today, and we'll never get to know who is a real inventor. I mean, just look at Einstein. That nigga was working in the Library of fucking Congress. I mean, who says that he's a freaking inventor of scientific formulas and genius? I mean, that was probably somebody else's. Just wake up, you don't really want to wake up most people. That's the thing. They want to believe what they want to believe, because the thing is that that's just information that's being passed, but they want to make sure that it's attributed to one of their own. That way they can rule people through their own, through their names, through their co-opting and their psyoping, and they love being able to claim ownership, and because they feel like they drank your blood then, and they've stolen it, and it gives them more power to the devil and to evil. That's why that's how they get their power, is through robbing somebody, and they're making a sacrifice by killing them in their own way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Where do we go from here, folks? It's quite an interesting topic that we're getting into. I mean, the state pretty much just owns you. They own your kids. They could cause a false flag at any minute. And just like in Brussels, you have just a bunch of Scalfani's tomato sauce being thrown all over the place, like they did in Paris. And they'll say, oh yeah, there's the blood. Oh yeah, there's the blood right there. Hashtag fake blood. That's what it is. It's a false flag hoax. And then they got these idiots out there that probably work for the Office of Naval Intelligence, and they put them on all over the radio, on the AM, FM airwaves. And they're talking to you one night about Chupacabra, and then they're talking to you the next night about their granny's Bigfoot. They took off her sock, and there it was, man. I saw Bigfoot right there, and I'm calling you to tell you about it. So they got these guys, these jokers, trying to tell you after the night before. They say, oh yeah, Chupacabra exists, and my granny's is Bigfoot. My granny's foot is Bigfoot. They got those guys trying to tell you that these false flag hoaxes really happened and that people really died, when there's clearly no YouTube footage, no amateur YouTube footage, no tweets of real legs being blown off. I mean, you want to say Boston bombing had his leg blown off. I mean, the guy was just sitting there with like his bones sticking out. He looked completely normal. He didn't faint. And he was just talking, and he could have played like a game of Angry Birds on his phone.
That guy was in Brussels too.
No. You're wrong. There was a 19-year-old that survived. Right. That survived 3 terror attacks already. Paris, Brussels, and Boston.
Right.
But it wasn't that guy that I'm referring to.
Oh, okay.
But that just proves to you right there what you just said, that there was a guy at the scene of 3 false flags. I mean, you got a better chance of being hit by lightning twice, folks, than having some terrorist attack happen to you and, take you out. I mean, seriously, everything is planned by the Illuminati. If you learn Illuminati numerology, which is difficult to understand, it's quite retarded when you hear these YouTube morons out there. And the number to this is this and that and this. I mean, we keep it a little bit more in layman's terms here with the numbers and stuff. I mean, these guys just they go off the rails.
Yeah, Bruce. I mean, you said last week that you mentioned that it's a war on intelligence, and in fact, it is a war on your own intelligence. So what the news does is that they put out these dumb stories, and they throw it out to see what people are gonna believe and what they're not gonna believe. And they'll find, when they find that people will believe, like, for example, that Fidel Castro is like still alive, for example, and the Americans believe that he's still alive, but most Cubans know that he died like 10 years ago. So they'll put that news out to test one's aptitude, intelligence level, and and their willingness to believe what's in front of them in terms of the television set and the media. And when they realize that most people will believe anything that's put in front of them, you only have like maybe 8% people that really question, like, or raise an eyebrow. I don't even know. I don't know what percentage.
And those are the 8% that are being targeted by this 1984 surveillance Big Brother style program. I mean, if you mention Domino's Pizza enough, Domino's Pizza, guess what? Domino's Pizza ads are going to pop up if you have your Apple laptop open on your desk. They're going to start popping up to your email, on your freaking phone, what have you.
Well, today, even, this is perfect. I mean, we were talking about making a children's book, right? We were coming up with this whole concept this morning, Bruce and I. And before I suggested it, right? Blurb. It's before I mentioned Blurb. Blurb sent me an email because they heard us talking about a kid's book and writing it. It was real weird. I mean, you had already researched it, and then you saw the time. It was sent 30 minutes prior, like as we were probably talking about it for 45 minutes. It was just like, you can't imagine if you really think that you're being targeted in a way. Everybody's being a little targeted. You know, there's like
everybody's being a lot of targeted. Anytime you buy anything, you're being targeted. You might as well shop at Target or paint a big target on the back of your head. So if you're a cholo, get rid of the 13 on the back of your head, Holmes. Hey, watch out because you're being targeted.
You should put a bullseye, dartboard. That would probably be more appropriate.
Speaking of cholos, we're walking down the street today, and I saw on a Brooklyn bus an advertisement for Lopez on TV Land. Now, that guy is trying so hard to look Mexican when he really looks like a freaking
Bangladesh.
Oh, buddy, I'm from Bangladesh, my friend.
Yeah, no, his nose
I got a fucking red dot on my forehead.
Not Mexican. Okay, he's giving Mexicans a very bad rap with that
Yo,
ugly ass
what the fuck is he thinking? Who is gonna watch Lopez in Brooklyn? I mean, first of all, you got nothing but pinches boricuas around here. Alright? And the Mexicans that are around here, they're not watching TV. They're slaving away for the guineas, making all the pizza
you see
now.
all three
making all the shitty pizza that's in New York. Alright? Because the only pizza that's not shitty is like Patsy's or something. There I go endorsing them. I think I endorse them every week. They should give me like free pizza when I walk in there.
I think you need to walk in them and tell them that you've totally talked about that.
That's like the greatest. That's like the greatest pizza place ever.
Yeah, but it's not organic. It's that's the problem. And
now you go dissing on them. Now I'm not going to get my free slices.
Well, I mean, I didn't say that their quality of. I spoke to them actually about the quality of which flour they use, and they told it to me. So I didn't sound too bad.
That's why you're saying that your pizza's superior.
Well, yeah,
because you stole the recipe.
Well, of course.
Aha.
That's right.
You did the same thing to that artichoke joint down the block.
Oh my God.
They got a little salty after that.
That's the problem. It's like if they're not sticking their hands down their ass before they make their pizza.
Dear God, that's the case down the street. You see, you and me should start going to Yelp more often, and we'll talk about what we said in Yelp recently. But we should start going to Yelp more often, and maybe these guys will tell their little paisas to get their hands out of their ass before they make the pizza, or to not handle money before they make the pizza. I mean, what has happened in New York pizza? You got all these Polacks hiring all these freaking immigrantes from like freaking Guatemala and El Salvador and all these shitty fucking third world shitholes, and they think they could make pizza. Meanwhile,
they're
dropping all sorts of freaking salt, the Morton salt into the entire freaking dough.
And didn't you say, like, there was toilet paper? If you go to, like, Mexico, for example, there's areas where there's, like, mad toilet paper.
First of all, the plumbing doesn't work over there. And they got, like, waste paper baskets. And it's the most disgusting thing. You see freaking, like, it looks like a shitty Halloween struck the town. You know what I'm saying? Just a bunch of toilet and shit everywhere because their piping sucks. You know why their piping sucks? Because all the narcos that got their training from the CIA, they hack off so many freaking heads over there that they stuff them down the toilet, and now the plumbing doesn't work because they got a bunch of freaking hacked off heads in the plumbing. And the Mexican government condones this. The Mexican government condones this. I mean, I saw an old Mexican president walking down the beaches of Mexico talking about how, back in the day they sacrificed, they had their blood sacrifices. Now they blood sacrifice journalists. So if that's not a failed third world state, then I don't know what is. And you know what else, folks? I'm not against the Latino community at all, okay? But I think there's enough Latinos in this community already, and you don't need any others, okay? Because let me tell you something else. They are exporting the revolution to the United States. You need to fight. You need to get together with the Mexican vigilantes over there that are fighting the cartels over there, that are fighting the CIA over there, and restore your country. Instead, they're just fleeing over here because Obama is giving away a bunch of supposed freebies.
And you know what? My brother's old dogs, when they used to live in Brighton Beach and run up and down the beach, and I remember that Sammy used to go digging. And I don't know how, but the dog used to just take off, and then he would come back with some fucking chicken. The remnants around there too. That's why my brother and sister-in-law knew. They were like, "Yo, there's some Santeria shit." You know what I'm saying? There's candles around there. or some like scent or some smells. Yeah, so the dogs knew. They were like, oh, the Mexicans come around here and bury their chickens and do the little chicken sacrifices and shit. It was nasty. They probably bury shit in the chicken.
They probably put like a peacock's freaking like little mask over them and then grab the chicken by the legs and they like swat it around and say, boom, swati oosh. But in Spanish.
Yeah, and what would that translate to?
I don't know. I'm not a freaking chicken Santeria freaking dancer. But here's another thing. Don't Orthodox Jews also do some form of chicken slapping? They like grab a chicken, they slap themselves with it to purify themselves.
To me.
I mean, what type of freaking Bavarian, fake, freaking not Jew just says they are, does that? I mean, going around slapping themselves with chicken. They're just trying to make Judaism look bad.
Escuchen, por favor. Okay, this is the defense of the Jewish people. The average Jew does not do that, and I would have never found out about that if it wasn't for you, Bruce. So all the weird shit. Yeah, you know why? Because all these fucking truthers hate Jews, and they'll even get some weird guy like Brother Nathaniel. They'll get some fake Jew like him, or this other dude that's coming out being some fake ass.
Well, all those guys work for friggin' David Korenz, or whatever his name is.
Exactly.
That guy with the Vidal Sassoon haircut.
Exactly.
That anti-Semite that should, fly off his freaking car again, like in those Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, where they keep tumbling, the car just keeps.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where people like that belong. You know what I'm saying? With their freaking face in the dirt. There's a bunch of haters.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't know what's happening with this world today, but it's definitely going into the and down the media.
It's going into the abyss.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. The New World Order Illuminatis are dancing the dance of death around our rotting carcasses as humanity. A rotting carcass.
Yep. Yeah. They're just watching and waiting, and they're coming out of all corners looking for you to fuck up or trip up or... it's about tax season this time, so, one thing that really bothered me this year is sort of weird, but it was helpful, but it bothered me. It was helpful because we had to sign Bruce up for the Obamacare kind of situation. Like, I'm signed up differently with slightly different health care. And for some reason, it was left up for the New York State Department to contact us, and they never did. We did contact them because I did. I remember it because when I had to do my health insurance, and I asked about his, and it didn't. And they said, "Oh yeah, we'll contact you." And he waited and waited. He never was contacted. We're kind of on top of things like that. And then all of a sudden, my tax guy says, "Hey, the papers say that he wasn't covered the last month." I mean, they literally never contacted us. And then when I spoke to them yesterday, the New York State Department said, well, we've heard this is typical. I mean, they've heard this with this particular way to sign up. It was completely haphazard. They were messing up left and right by not informing people, leaving a lot of people, hundreds of thousands of people uninsured. And that's...
Well, that's to be expected because even if you go to the news stories from way back when they were talking about the healthcare.gov, how Obama went in there and hired nothing but cons and criminals who had access to your Social Security and other just precious information.
Yeah.
So they don't care. They sneak in all sorts of hidden fees. I mean, even if you're doing it by the book, they'll still find some fee. They'll find some way to charge you because communism doesn't work unless they keep stealing your money.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what these communists do best. In the White House, a communist, a jihadi in chief like Obama, who doesn't even know the difference between capitalism and communism.
I don't even think it's communism. I think it's gangsterism.
Yes,
I think I think they forget all these names. I think we're in a real freaking corporate gangsterism. Way more. They're in the gangs. I think I should coin that and shit because, Obama had all these rappers and shit in his White House. You know what I'm saying? He's pushing that whole... all these guys, like I was saying, they'll rape and pillage. They'll take what they want. That's gangster. I'm saying that's what it is. But that's the whole... We export
it's like ODB said. He said that George Bush was a gangster.
Yeah.
Ended up probably getting whacked by the Skull and Bones. Because he was always talking about him. Who knows?
Who knows? Who knows? But back to the Jew thing is that I was saying is that the average Jew is not throwing a chicken, doing this flipping chicken thing. And, you know, guys like these fake Jews that are coming out, they are fake. So who knows about these sects? I don't know. These small sects of Jewish religious, and they're all over the place, and some of them are fake and some of them are real. But let me tell you, they're just like a lot of them. They're like the Arabic, the same imams where they collect all these, like maybe inbred people, like low-level, illiterate. I'm not saying all Hasidim are illiterate, but a lot of them are just, they know how to do their prayers, but they're not really well-read and cultured people, and they know how to keep them down with dogma, religious dogma, and scaring them, like to say you turn the lights on in their house. And
they do the same thing with the Catholics.
Yeah, but they say that Jewish people, you turn the lights on Saturday, they'll teach their kids that everybody in the family will die, so they're being taught, like, fear. You know what I'm saying? So there is a weirdness, and then and I think they do that.
And I saw that in an episode of Southland once, where it's this LAPD cop drama, and this Jewish woman, she's from a Hasidic home, and she calls because she's getting robbed and possibly potentially raped. So she calls the LAPD on a day where they weren't supposed to use the phone.
Oh, yeah.
While this is happening, and the only thing the father cared about. This is how extreme the Nazis in Hollywood they go to vilify Judaism.
Yeah.
And make them, you use the phone? The only thing that the rabbi or the father cared about,
but that's so not true,
was that his daughter used the phone instead of the LAPD going in there to save her life.
That has to be a lie, because
it is a lie.
In Judaism, it's always the opposite.
Oh, the actors are Lebensborn in the movie. Of course it's a lie.
You see, I'll tell you why it's the opposite. Because, like, for example, if, everybody's got their little holidays, right? So, like, on Jewish holidays, like, they have a fast, some of them. So on a fast, if a woman is not feeling well, or a man, if you're pregnant, or you're taking medication if you're a man, or if you have to take food with your medication, or there are so many, you can get out of anything. So many things, like in Judaism, but in the dogma of, like, Islam, for example, it doesn't matter if you're taking medication, you have to fast. It doesn't matter if you're pregnant, you have to fast. It doesn't matter. You see, that's what I'm saying. The human condition is way more thought of. That's what the Talmud is, and that's why people should not base. They always, like, the truth movement likes to say the Jews are this, the Jews are that. Look at their Talmud.
More like the idiot movement, because the idiot movement got dicked around by Ron Paul, who was all for them, and then he went on air, live on TV, and said, "No, I don't believe in any of the rhetoric of the 9/11 truthers," after getting famous off of it. And then the same thing with Donald Trump, who is now using the 9/11 rhetoric to get himself famous. I mean, you idiots are buffoons who believe anything the Kool-Aid man in Austin, Texas, who works for Obama, tells you. You're a bunch of idiots. You're a bunch of scum. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. We had a short technical break, and we're back now. You never know. Running the station on Spreaker, anything can happen, really. And thank you for joining us, folks. I guarantee that if you go to eastbymall.com and use coupon code BruceNY and buy some CCTV surveillance system gear and some cool gadgets that only Bond can own, using that coupon code BruceNY, you'll save 10%, and you'll also help me buy a giant freaking antenna one day, where it doesn't matter who it is, the FCC or the freaking BLT sandwiches or the BLM, Black Lives Matter, whoever it is, they're not going to interrupt this signal, folks.
That's right. We don't know at what point we left off, but I guess you'll find out tomorrow.
We got cut off. We were talking about Ron Paul or Donald Trump.
Oh,
These
Bush.
guys,
You're probably mentioning
they're
Bush.
just using 9/11.
I see.
And 9/11 Truth, the idiots at 9/11 Truth, to basically just make themselves famous.
I see. Yes, exactly, and that they are. Well, that's the whole thing. It was the Reichstag reinvention of the Reichstag just like history keep repeating itself. I guess there was an architectural flaw in that building anyway, and it was just set to go down, and they figured they'd have a good blood sacrifice, and it looked like from the dollar bills that it was being planned for a long time and through many predictive programs, just like we were seeing we're starting to see this happen with Indian Point, the same kind of programming that we were looking at before 9/11, in the cartoons, like Left and Right with The Simpsons, and I mean countless things from The Matrix where they indicate 9/11. Everywhere is like a
right in the Passport,
Family Guy.
like Keanu Reeves' Passport. I mean, even in Super Mario Brothers, they use some type of directed energy weapon at the Twin Towers and kind of like disintegrated one of them, to the Cookie Monster taking a bite out of the Twin Towers. I mean, you've seen it, right? I mean, you've lived here in New York your whole life.
Yeah, so we're starting to see that with Indian Point, and we just feel like it's going to be a slow kill over here in New York. I mean, most people are not going to believe us, and a lot of people did kind of believe us, even people that we know. But, then they go look into it and they go, it's not that bad. You guys are like, all right, but whatever, we get it. Whatever you guys want to dip, and it's just a reason. But at the same time, like, they don't really, there's so much cover-up, and there's so much whitewashing over it. They have such a grip on the media that they can actually, this would be like a crazy-ass kill, I mean, for them, like talk about a Holocaust.
The Nazis were experts in nuclear biowarfare. The Japanese are experts in nuclear biowarfare. Last time I checked, they formed the Axis. So they are experts in this kind of biowarfare, and they're bringing it here to New York. This is 9/11 Part 2 with Indian Point.
Yeah, but this is going to destroy the whole East Coast. I mean, if it's in the land, it's the water.
They already destroyed the Gulf of Mexico with the BP oil spill. Now they're going to destroy the East Coast.
I think the oil probably will go to the bottom of the ocean. It's a lot less damaging than nuclear waste, okay, Bruce? I mean, I'm sure that the ocean is probably coming back a little bit more.
And then you have the Fukushima radiation already made its way to the Pacific Ocean, all over California. I mean, I saw a story where they were out cleaning the oceans, and some girl unfortunately died. Who knows what happened, folks? I don't believe anything the news says. I mean, they're just trying to pull your heartstrings. Maybe they made it up. Maybe they didn't. But the fact of the matter is now Californians have to deal with much more than just dirty, disgusting condoms in the ocean of Santa Monica. Now they got to deal with radioactive Fukushima nuclear waste flowing their way. And just like us over here on the East Coast, whose balls are going to start glowing green, your balls in LA are going to start glowing green. Or probably already are, because Fukushima has made its way how many times around the Earth already? Yeah,
but a lot of that stuff, unless it's right there in the epicenter by ground zero, per se, you're going to find it very hard to, it's not really anything, for the most part. But when it is leaking uncontrollable into the water supply years and years...
Well, take a Geiger counter out there. Take a Geiger counter out there and measure the toxicity of the coasts. And then send us an email at bruce@twitter.com, jaja@twitter.com, and we'll talk about it. I mean, we're investigating this stuff. I'm pretty sure that they got conjoined whales. They're finding whales that are stuck together now, bleeding in the freaking Pacific Ocean. I mean, all sorts of animals are dying. It's not just a bunch of toilet seats that they threw out in Malibu, and every time somebody goes out fishing now, oh, hey, I got something. Oh, it's just a toilet seat. It's not just that anymore. Now there's disgusting nuclear freaking piss from Fukushima making its way all around the globe. I mean, where else are we going to go, folks? I mean, the Freemasons think that they're going to get in a spaceship just like Pakal did in Mexico and just fly off into space. Okay? We're treating this planet like we have another one to inhabit. We truly are. We're just destroying it. And I'm not joining the George Soros eco-pussies that want you to plant a tree and then kill yourself.
They're the ones that are saying it's okay for this to happen.
I know they are, because they're a bunch of bastards. But the thing is that these people have to be stopped. We have to stop Indian Point, and we have to get it out there in the public's consciousness. We have to raise awareness, and that's what we do on this show, Fridays, 9 p.m. Eastern, on TalkStream Live. Thank you for listening to us if you're on TalkStream Live, or if you're on Spreaker.com. Thank you as well.
Yeah, and TalkStream Live has been very good to us. They've been putting us up and keeping us in the visible range, even though we're only on once a week. We do a good week in review, and we catch up on the general consensus of things. Sometimes we miss a lot of these false flags because it's just so much,
First of all, I don't want to keep up with the news that they fake, that they hoax, that they're sensationalizing.
That they're using to cover up real issues like, Indian Point, for example, like when they should be telling people to activate their brains and talk to their congressman, but no, they won't. They'll put like some reality shit on your face, and you'll watch like Donald Trump screaming around, and you'll think everything's okay while you're pissing tritium at
It's really the end of Donald Trump. I mean, they tried to whore out Ted Cruz's wife, Heidi, in the news. And you don't need to whore out Donald Trump's wife, Meliana, because she's already a prostitute. I mean, she had a career as a prostitute before she met the Don. So that's all it is. It's Donald Trump, the pimp who has a hoe, and then Ted Cruz, the Canadian, ugly-faced pink flamingo, who is supposedly in the tabloids, the supermarket tabloids, for banging 5 chicks, which is not true. I mean, he probably banged Caitlyn Jenner, Amanda Lepore. How many other trannies did he bang? I mean, that's what he's banging. Ugh. Look at that freaking face. That face. Ted Cruz has the face of a tranny banger.
So does Kanye West.
And he's Jess with it. There are a bunch of Jesuits that are Jess with it. And you see him on the GOP debate with his hand in his little pocket. And then now he's parading around with that fruitcake, Glenn Beck. And, Glenn Beck is like having some type of a homoerotic moment with Ted Cruz. I mean, Ted Cruz is just going around just staring at everybody's freaking cocks, pretty much. He did it to Hannity. Now he's doing it to Glenn Beck. I mean, look at him. Look at them. Google it up. They're staring at each other. They love each other. That's what it is. That's what it is. That's what this fake freaking leftist, fake conservative Glenn Beck, who's really just an effeminate pussy, like Barney the dinosaur, a freaking effeminate pussy. Glenn Beck was a Mormon. It's a Mormon agenda, folks. I mean, the Mormons are behind the Illuminati. The Mormons, the Nazis. Actually, the Mormons made it easy through the Vatican rat lines for the Nazis to come in here and now say, "Oh, we're Mormon now."
Yeah, and they're all absorbed by the Latter-day Saints and all that Mormon because
that's what it is. And the Mormons were created by Freemasons
and Lebensborn. That's what they become.
The Democratic Party is run by the KKK, and who has a picture of the KKK's founder on their walls? As much as they hate the KKK, the Freemasons know they're a part of it, and the KKK is backing Hillary Clinton. They're talking about how much they fucking love Hillary Clinton.
I would too if I found that a grandfather was Reinhard Heydrich.
Right. All these guys have hardcore Nazi freaking antecedents. All right, all these people in power. Hillary Clinton. They're all the hegemony, the freaking just total totalitarian establishment is run by Nazis, and it's for the Nazis. It's for them. It's by them. And it's just a bunch of Nazi nepotism.
Yeah, so as I was talking about the whole Reichstag, and the new Reichstag with the towers, how do we get kicked off, bumped off, and that's it, like we lost probably some listeners as I was explaining the towers and the Reichstag and the false flag alert, and of course, they don't want to be known, so they have us on, like we were saying earlier in the show, that we're being watched and spied, and they even have they probably know what we're going to do 10 seconds before we even do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, at this point, I don't even know what kind of scientists they have on us. We're like,
well, one thing they do have is Scientologists on TED, like I was saying. They're all over the supermarket tabloids just trying to cover up the fact that guy is más puto than George Lopez's little freaking pestañitas.
Yeah, wasn't he hugging Glenn Henpeck this week?
Yeah, yes, he was. I just mentioned that he was staring at Glenn Henpeck's freaking package.
Yeah, I didn't hear Henpeck.
I saw it on Before It's News. He was just staring at it.
Yeah.
The little pink flamingo, Ted Cruz, likes to stare at freaking fake conservative talk show host packages.
Yeah, first it was Sean Hannity, now it's
Henpeck.
Henpeck.
And they got some like little gay bromance going on between them. And you know, at first I thought Henpeck was like kind of funny because he made fun of some fat guy from Austin, Texas that thinks he's funny.
Yeah,
with the
tranny lover
with the CIA intel that talks like this and
tranny lover
and derivatives.
Yeah, and I got intel.
Yeah. Inside baseball.
Come to my contest.
Inside
Join my
baseball.
Contest. Start your own radio show.
Yeah, I saw Charlie Sheen and I was like, oh man, I like working out with you because then I get to go backstage and smell your gym shorts. I mean, when Henpeck made fun of Alex Bill William Hicks Kaltenbrunner or whatever the hell his name is.
Yeah, Kaltenbrunner Jones, whatever.
Sacred Cow, whatever the fuck his name is. When he made fun of that guy, that was hysterical. But now that he's dancing around with Ted Cruz having some gay bromance. That's what it is.
Yeah, maybe he has some thing with Gucciardi. I don't know.
Dear God.
Well, we heard that, right? Didn't we hear that?
Sounds like a handbag.
Gucciardi.
That last name sounds like a handbag.
You're right. It sounds like that kind of good ring to it.
That looks like a freaking weenie.
If I were him, I would have chosen to be a fashion designer with that name.
First of all, I heard once Bill Hicks state that this guy got beat up by Handbag or whatever the guy's name that you mentioned. Got beat up by like 5 black guys for having a girlfriend with him or something. First of all, he probably had a tranny with him. And then the 5 black guys were like, "Oh man, you got a tranny with you, ha ha ha!" And then they beat him up because he was walking around with a tranny.
And he had enough money on him.
Yeah, he's got enough money because Alex Jones pays all his info whore reporters well, so they could buy trannies in Austin, Trannyland, Texas,
which is
home of the tranny because Obama is now moving to Austin, Stratfordland, Texas.
You know, is that why Alex Jones always calls me a tranny when he trolls me?
First of all, Alex Jones, if I ever see you, I will punch you right in the face, just like Donald Trump says that you should punch people in the face. I will do what your candidate loves so much to you. Okay? Because that guy's done. He's finished. He is freaking finito. Donald Trump, this is the beginning of the end. I mean, how long has this reality show been going on? Fake GOP, KKK TV.
They got it really good, though. They got it down to a science, you know. It's been, like, real scientific programming because, you know, I think that if you look, like, when I see footage from, like, 20 years ago, that shit was, like, mad boring and, like, serious and, like, you could fall asleep. Now you're, like, glued. Like, they got, like, the average guy glued, like, oh, wow, they really said that? I mean, today, the president just now, like, breaking news, like, he just said that Donald Trump has no experience in foreign policy at all. Okay, and that is the truth, and I've been saying that. But he does have.
Neither does Hillary Clinton. If you call running guns and drugs experience, then she's got plenty.
Yeah, but
because pretty much with Hillary and Trump, the only choices you're getting are the demagogue, and the war criminal.
Yeah.
Just like this Libertarian Post from Florida says, the demagogue or the war criminal.
But what about, I thought that Donald Trump has very much foreign policy and business. I mean, didn't he bring Gaddafi here to this country and give him a piece of property, rent him?
And it's hysterical because this meme says,
come here.
This meme says, what are the pros and cons between Donald Trump and Hillary? It says for Don, that he's not Hillary Clinton. And his con is that he's Donald Trump. And the same thing goes for her, that she's not Donald Trump, and that her con is that she's Hillary Clinton. So that's what this election pretty much is. But, I mean, you have to be one stupid sheeple to believe that your vote even counts in the first place. Because this country has been taken over by Marxist, communist, socialist scum that believe in Stalinism, Maoism, every ism that destroys humanity, they believe in. And they brought that over here. They don't believe that it's who votes, it's who counts the votes. I mean, time and time again, I've said that.
Yeah, and why does Indian Point look like a big penis? There's 2 balls and a...
Because the Illuminati believes in phallic symbolism, yes.
You know, I mean, this is what it is. You know, it's all.
It could look like two boobs on the side. You know, one boob, two boobs.
No, but then
like
there's
boobs.
a penis. It's the balls. Those are darker, you know, and they look like they're. So is that like the evil penis in New York is like Indian Point, you know?
Ooga chaka, ooga ooga.
But they have the whole in Washington that monument, that white monument. You
That's
know?
right.
So like phallic. There's like this phallic worship, you know, but it's kind of creepy, you know. It reminds me of like the devil's penis or something, and his balls about to squirt nut all over the place.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, I think it's time for Bruce's very special, super wonderful, very unique, I did not steal from David Letterman top 10 list from my home offices in Butte, Montana. That's right. Right across is a view of Lake Titicaca. And that's exactly what I'm seeing, is a lake in Indian Point that is worse than the Ganges River. What is that article you have in front of you right there?
It's something from November 2015.
10. Cuomo administration denies critical certification at Indian Point nuclear power plant. And now, folks, they're talking about, it's the bolts that are faulty. Oh, there's a couple of bolts we got to go in there, when those bolts long busted and all that nuclear sewage and waste just spewed into the Hudson River.
Yeah, Unit 2 and 3 reactors require the closure of Indian Point as soon as next year, and that is Cuomo that is sticking up, at least, you know, verbally and physically and presently, for the people. And Schumer is laughing. And
he's probably the controlled opposition.
That's what I'm trying to say, you know. But there actually is a stupid letter saying that they want to keep it to a low minimum of paying for the customer who need that cheap energy. That's their whole fucking excuse.
And again, those are the idiots that work for George Soros that want you to plant a tree and then go kill yourself. And I have it right here, folks. Indian Point nuclear power plant outage extended to replace missing bolts. That is number 10.
And they say that there's no threat to people. And they always say that, and it's continuously. But meanwhile, I have a friend that had prostate cancer that lived 18 miles from the plant, who was a doctor and was treating other people in his neighborhood vicinity for prostate cancer. That's 18 miles from Indian Point, which is where you would be pissing out. You would get cancer in your prostate or your cervix, you know, because if you piss it out, that's where it exits your body, and that is a cancer. You know,
absolutely. Now, number 9, French lawmakers just approved a plan to ban bee-killing pesticides. Now, the honeybee population, has been reducing every year, and we know how vital honeybees are to just life in general. I mean, they go and they cross-pollinate and they create all these plants. And it's pretty much because of the honeybees. They go over there and they sprinkle the pollen on this plant, and then the male plant, the female plant, he brings the pollen, and he's kind of like the stork in a way for life.
Yeah, it's the beginning of the whole life cycle. You know, honey. And the bee and the honey and everything, you know, it's just the start.
Anyway, France is really ahead of the curve here on this one. And they're saying France gets it when it comes to pesticides. Lawmakers in the country just approved plans to totally ban some widely used pesticides. And who's to blame for those pesticides that are probably most definitely killing the honeybee? Monsanto.
Yeah, but there's a lot of other companies now. You got
Roundup.
Syngenta. There's a lot of other companies you have to be careful with. You know, they want to blame one company now. That's the thing. Everybody, you know, before you know it, Monsanto will be out of business. They'll have 10 other names. They'll, break into like 10 other companies. And then you'll have to be, you know, it's like one of these freaking monsters and shit. You think you killed it and shit just cuts off, becomes like 20 different other like centipedes and shit.
That's right.
Know? That's what they are. There's more than one of them. It's
insanity,
not just Monsanto
folks.
Anymore.
So we have number 9 now. So rapid fire top 10 list here. It's actually number 8. Number 8, Arizona paper decries That border fence is too high for Mexicans to safely jump. So here you go, folks. They made the border that much higher because, first let me start off by saying that most of the illegal immigrants that you see around the border, are not even Mexican, homes. They're not Mexican, just like George Lopez isn't Mexican. Most of them are from El Salvador or Guatemala. I can't even say that country's name. Guatemala. Ugh. It looks like a shitty oil stain. That's, whatever. I don't care. Guatemala, you want to come get some? Come get some. Alexis Arguello wasn't shit. All right. Anyway, folks, they got a big triangle on their country's flag, pretty much just blatantly saying
those people are innocent people. This country was abusing.
Oh, the Iran-Contra.
Okay, but this country admittedly was experimenting on Guatemalans, like hundreds of thousands.
No, but the fact of the matter is that it's not Mexicans that are jumping that fence.
Well, yes,
it's little
that's
El
what
Salvadorians,
he means. Yeah.
And it's like 4'1" or 4'3", freaking little Guatemala.
They just make a pit stop in Mexico because it's right before the border. That's it. They've already crawled up the ass of Mexico, and
and that's a nasty ass to crawl up. I'll tell you that. I mean, third world shithole
into California or Mexico.
The beaches used to be nice. I remember in 1999, I went to San Felipe in Mexico, right? And just around that time, these Baja California beaches started to get destroyed by all the gringos. They go over there and party for spring break.
The donkey fuck. Watch the donkey shows?
And they shit all over the place. They barf all over the place. They throw bottles all over the place. They throw plastic bags all over the place. And then you got the cartels running around throwing heads in the gutters. So it just makes it that much more pleasing, that much more stunning, the decor of Baja California, which is just a diarrhea squirt on the map, if you ask me. I mean, it used to be nice. Places like San Felipe used to be nice, but then in 1999, I remember I got this big old disgusting bottle stuck in my freaking foot. I was walking on the beach, and I'm like, whoa, wow, man, this beach really went to shit now. And it's the same thing that's happening in Santa Monica now, and what's worse is that this radiation now from either Indian Point or Fukushima, I mean, they're just activating all these nuclear toxic waste zones around the coastlines where they could just easily spill into the ocean and pretty much kill us all.
Yeah, I don't know where to go. I mean, there's a beautiful island somewhere in Brazil. It's called Fernando de Noronhas, and it's up by Natal, in Rio Grande do Norte, the Nordeste of Brazil, and it's like paradise. It's so beautiful. The waters are like these deep blue, luscious, they only allow like 300 people on the island at the time. You can rent a place there, and you can only be there for like 21 days, I think maximum. But you can get to go see paradise, it's like palm trees and dolphins. You can see videos, there's tons of dolphins that are just circulating around that area. I mean, I don't know. I mean, is there a place on Earth that's safe anymore? I mean, are we all just doomed to get radioactive? I mean, is that what they're selling? I would take kelp every day. We're taking kelp every day. It's supposed to be good and to protect your thyroid. But in general, I mean, because you could get like thyroid reactions and cancers, especially with all the GMO foods. You have these adjuvants and just completely reactors in the foods, and one thing leads to Alzheimer's, the other thing leads to colon cancer and Crohn's, and all kinds of diseases, and
it's a terrible
autoimmune diseases that happen, myalgia, and all kinds of just lupus. People are getting all these weird freaking diseases and shit, just because of their food, their diet, and their water, and that's what you really need the most.
Well, it's part of the New World Order's soft kill on humanity. All right, go read Eco Science by John P. Holmgren. Go read that, and it tells you right there strategically how they're going to destroy humanity, folks. And now we are at number 8, folks, at the top 10 list. Hostage takes selfie with hijacker wearing suicide vest.
Oh, yeah, I believe that.
Wow, that just proved to me that Brussels really happened. when you got a hostage taking the time to take a fucking selfie with the hijacker. Oh, wait. Before you blow yourself up, let me take a selfie with you. Cheese. Dear God. Dear God, folks. What the hell is going on with this world when a hostage takes selfies with the alleged...
You never know, Bruce. I mean, maybe he just thought he could be famous for a second. This is a star.
Oh, yeah, he was, literally, until that freaking terrorist blew himself up along with him, right? And the phone, if it really happened. Yeah, right. Yeah, sure. Good job, buddy. Anyway, number seven, Elliot Spitzer. You remember that guy, right?
He was cool, man. He was the only person in New York.
I think I saw him on Fox a couple of times
before
some scandal hit him or whatever.
No, that was after the scandal, but it was before this. While he was the mayor or the governor, he was trying to crack down on the pay-for-play shit that was going on in like Hot 97, in the hip hop industry and R&B, and I was just like, yeah.
Well, now he's in the news. Now he's in the news for something else. You got Elliot Spitzer here, top 10 list number 7. Elliot Spitzer, the new Williamsburg development is a futuristic nightmare ripped from Blade Runner. Apparently, he's making these ugly buildings now.
Yeah, they're ugly. They're horrible. They are like these, Williamsburg got really hot. I used to live in Greenpoint for a few years. It was kind of cool and disgusting at the same time because they had the highest cancer rate in the country, supposedly, because of the iguanas. And the Polacks and Polish people, they were fun, nice, sweet, good food and stuff, and, had a good place. But it was kind of nasty, there was a lot of factories around there, and I dipped. But then Williamsburg started getting really hot. It was the next neighborhood. And all the, artists were kind of in there, and, they, started building up, and the punk rockers and all these crazies, and then it became really trendy over the past few years, and then they decided to invest in it. And then these
buildings look disgusting.
They built them overnight.
They look like some type of Super Mario Brothers, friggin' Nintendo 1985 building.
They look like high class favelas. It's the weirdest thing. Bruce and I were around. I was around there, and I saw all these white loft-like buildings. So you have these artists, this idea that it's cool to live in Williamsburg if you're an artist. If you're an artist, you have to have a loft, so it's all synonymous, right? So everybody's on this illusion that that's the place to be. So they built these very project Bauhaus, banal, but ugly ass white. I don't know, just everything looks the same, but they're these standard, typical artsy lofts. And there's thousands of them. And they built the whole freaking neighborhood up this way. And it's just disgusting. And you will just be one of the many vehicles for the New World Order in the future. Because you will be a creative juicer. They will just juice you, just like a pod. So if you want to rent and buy into that pod, right, you will be in, very few people in there, you got to admit, will be famous or noted or even, just maybe a little gig here or there, whether it's
you could pay me all the money in the world. I still wouldn't live in that hideously disgusting building.
And they're gigantic.
Now, folks, on to number 6. Company creates gun that looks like a cell phone. Again, this is on usnews.com. Cell phone gun. All the firepower, none of the questions. What do you think of that? The cell phone gun. What's it going to fire? Tweets at rapid speed?
Exactly. Well, maybe you could print it with your new 3D printer or something like that.
Right, 3D printers and
3D printed cell phone guns.
that sounds quite interesting.
Maybe they'd be a cool belt buckle. Maybe we should go into trying to design that or something. A 3D printed belt buckle gun. That would be hot. You know what I'm saying? You can make it look like a gun, but still be a belt buckle.
Who knows? If it's firing bullets, then I'd love to get my hands on one of those, folks. Now, top 10 list number 5. Germany imposes a ban on shredding live male chickens. Germany imposing bans. Why didn't they impose a ban on shredding Jews through the German shredder or whatever freaking name they had for these death devices that many of them had?
Yeah. I don't follow Germany to that extent, but I don't know. Maybe they found some fingers and heads and stuff in the shredders. Why did they stop
Well,
it?
it says here Germany becomes first country to ban egg industry's shredding of live chickens. I think they tested on the chickens all along.
Oh, they
and
shredded
then
them live. They didn't eat them. That's
no,
disgusting.
they shred them to make some type of chicken freaking
Live?
sausage or who knows.
Live is that's it.
Live,
See,
yes.
That's not Jewish. See, like in Jewish, you're supposed to kill
That's
them.
because they're the Amalek. That's because the Amalek are vicious. They have reptilian slit eyes and they shred chickens alive.
It's shocking that they would even do that. So I don't really, but I can't imagine. I don't know if that's propaganda or what, but it doesn't sound humane, and I don't think they're really like that today. But check that news.
Anyway, that's out of Germany, folks. Now we go on to top 10 list number 4. Now, apparently, I thought that the LAPD was numero uno in putting their boot up your ass. But Miami PD, oh man, they're NWO number 1 in fascism. I mean, this wild car chase that I saw today, where they ended up having like 13 officers chase this suspect, and then they released the hounds like freaking Mr. Burns, and this dog literally leaped like 8 feet and then got a piece of this guy, who of course was black. Right? They send out.
He was just an alleged suspect.
You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of when you get 5 stars on Grand Theft Auto, and then they send out like the fucking National Guard, and there's helicopters, and there's all sorts of jump out boys and SWAT, and everybody's trying to kill you and like ram your car. And this dog's probably going to get a freaking Medal of Honor because he leaped and he was like biting the shit out of that guy. I mean, he shred probably his entire torso and arm.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it said alleged suspect. It said suspect. It didn't mean that they knew it was a real person. So I don't know how they handle that kind of stuff.
They're just showing you the future. If you get out of line, they're going to beat the living hell out of you. But eventually, they're going to get the cops to walk around without guns, and they're going to be like pussified because they beat up too many of these black men and used too much force. So then that's going to allow for the scum, for the filth, for the trash that I could smell up to here that's literally lingering outside my window. It's going to empower the trash because the police are just so good at making themselves look so bad.
Yeah, I mean, the scary thing is how
it's going to be like Demolition Man. They're going to take the police officers' guns eventually, and they're just going to have like a little freaking, a wiffle ball bat to hit you with.
They won't need them. They'll have all the dogs. I mean, these dogs are being trained crazy because I just saw this video of somebody, they're training dogs to get mad shit, like going lobster fishing, like diving, like way below, like freaking just coming back. I mean, the way that dog attacked that guy was so like the same way the dog went and got the lobster and brought it back to the guy playing catch with the dog in the water. And they just do whatever they're programmed. And the way German or Russian programming, forget DARPA, forget the way dogs can just be set on people. They can be trained so intensely. It's amazing. They could be so vicious. I was attacked by a pit bull, actually.
That's why this is horrifying. This is like talking about Jason Voorhees to you.
Yeah. It wasn't really...
Or that one dog that, attacked that kid in the car, that vicious Rottweiler.
Yeah.
That guy looks scary, man. That movie with that dog was
But don't get me wrong. I wasn't afraid of pits. I lived with the pit, and it was
they're very loyal dogs.
Well, it was my roommate's dog, and the dog was already not trained, and he was on crack, and he'd already attacked other people. But I, used to play with that dog. He was in my bed. You know what I'm saying? Like, he would jump in my bed. Hey, what's up? I'd pet him. And he wasn't even my dog. It was my roommate's dog. And she had to, train me to deal with that dog. Like, he was so crazy. And supposedly, I heard that he was already attacked people. And it just was an incident that didn't really need to happen. I mean,
yeah, and I'm sure that this guy that the Miami PD beat the living hell out of and this dog mauled is saying the same thing too. I mean, if you're not guilty, you're not running either, right? I mean, why didn't he just give himself up? I mean, the guy's probably cracked out of his mind. I mean, only somebody that's cracked out of their mind thinks they could take on the entire freaking fraternal Masonic police order.
Yeah, that's what they're saying these days, the fraternal police order, right?
I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous. But moving on to the top 10 list, number 4, just to prove to you folks that the news is staged, that the news is a hoax, I'm friends with a crisis actor. And this crisis actor gave El Gran Montalvo a shout-out, Elliot Roger. If you go to Facebook, you see Elliot Fabulous Roger, who was known as the Isla Vista shooter, with his BMW just shooting up any blonde that he saw that had a double D titties, that he just run her over with his Beamer because he didn't take her out to prom. He's actually giving me press here, folks. A chung. Here is the playlist. A special thanks to Bruce Montalvo, and here he goes on to mention all these 80s songs, because, you know, he was like saying, oh, can someone help me out with a new murderous CD for my car? I want a top 10 list for my car for when I'm listening to my car, and I can just bust it in my car. And we had a couple of suggestions. What you suggesting, like a virgin thing?
Yeah, because he was, supposed to be a virgin, right? And he was looking for 80s songs, so I thought it was really apropos.
There's a bunch of Huey Lewis in there, and Foreigner, and Whitney Houston, and I mean, it's just ridiculous, folks. I mean, it just proves.
Didn't I say Bela Lugosi's dead?
Bela Lugosi's dead. That one didn't make the cut because it could have been out in the 90s, but you claim it was out before that. Yeah. Right, so I mean, it's
on one of the albums that I have here.
Eddie Money. The Police. I mean, this kid's hysterical. He faked his death just like all the rest of them. The Bill Hickses, the Jim Morrisons, and he's laughing about it on his little Facebook page that is being followed by like 4 people, and he's just laughing.
Yeah, I mean, crisis actors, they're around. I mean, they're people too, and some of them don't ever want to be, somebody famous, or they're just going to be a Joe Schmo, and nobody will ever know who they are, and they'll just change their hair color, and they'll just change their age a little bit, get a little different, grow a little hair on their face, and you won't recognize them, and that's how it is. I mean, these people are born into certain families. Elliot, I believe, very, very much so, born into the von Braun family. It looks like his grandfather, there are pictures there in one of his pages.
Yeah, he looks like a friggin' Von Braun.
It was Werner von Braun in there, and Adam West was one of the kids. So So all those guys, all these celebrity Lebensborn are linked to von Braun, and he's linked to them too. No. He's linked to He himself is linked to von Braun, and that's his great grandfather.
Well, there you go. I know somebody that's related to Batman, folks. There you go. Now, top 10 list. Number 3, the fun never ends, folks. Woo! Fun never ends. Number 3, you got a bunch of clowns for top 10 list. Number 3, these fucking clowns, Bernie Sanders and Spike Lee, who looks like a fucked up version of Mr. Potato Head, who dresses like Mr. Potato Head with these little gay freaking glasses. I mean, give it up, dude. Madison Square Garden is a shithole. Looks like a giant toilet. I walked by there. It looks like the center of hell. I mean, from what Jaja tells me, the freaking seats are decrepit and there's rats running in there and the beer's overpriced and the Knicks are never going to win anything. So you, my friend, suck. A big freaking just deflated gun like the one that's painted all over your little Spike Lee joint right next to the freaking burger joint. I mean, you suck. Bernie Sanders sucks even more. These Marxist idiots. Here he is talking about endorsing Bernie Sanders. You see these two morons? See these two morons? Give him the peace sign, holding this Colonel Sanders chicken freaking Marxist bum that wants to make the youth believe that they could get anything for free. Now here's what I call them. I call them a bunch of clowns. In their whole campaign, he's out there with Rosario Dawson and Spike Lee and all these people that are pretty much extras in Kevin Smith films, trying to support Bernie. And, I said this about this bum. He didn't have a job until he was 40, slanging EBT. But I said this, folks. I said that it doesn't matter if he wins all the Democratic primaries from here on out. He's not going to beat the reptilian wench, Hillary Clinton. He's just not going to beat her. And if he's hanging around with Spike Lee, oh no, dude, he's definitely not going to beat her. And this guy Trump now running around talking about, all women should be put on the same hands, the same burning hands as they put their baby in. The Moloch hands, they should throw them in there as well. He should punish them. I mean, he just sounds like a total Jesuit, which is what he is. Donald Trump is just an outright Jesuit. Bernie Sanders is a freaking German in hiding. And it's just hysterical, folks.
I think we got a breaking news here about the Pope. Holy Pope-mobile! Fiat that ferried Pope Francis around New York City sells for $300,000.
I wonder how much the big ugly black foot that he kissed and all the other ugly little just Arabic freaking towel head Jesuit feet that he was kissing cost now as well, because he had his Jesuit lips on them.
They call it a Pope-mobile. Why don't they call it
P2 Lodge Masonic just pedophiles that they're right there during the Baal children sacrifices, folks, and the burning effigies of these children. I mean, that's just a powwow. That's just a powwow where they get together and they light a little like candle that's shaped like an owl that's supposed to be Moloch, but it isn't. It represents Lilith. The owl represents Lilith. Again, it's all indicative of what I mentioned earlier, this Black Madonna worship, where it was taken by the Jesuits to Mexico with stories like La Llorona and La Virgen de Guadalupe. But this Pope's ferry, you see how misleaded these people are, where they can tell them to worship this hideous creature from Assyrian times, dress her up, and now they want to buy his Pope-mobile for how much again?
$300,000.
Dear God.
To travel him around New York City, and it's just...
and that had to be good news to interrupt my top 10 list.
Yeah, and he went to St. Patty's that day. They're mentioning that you were there exactly 7 days prior to his visiting.
Wow.
That was amazing. So go back to your top 10 list, Bruce. Sorry to interrupt, but I knew that you love to have your Pope Minute there.
Oh, that's right. We have been doing Pope Watch 2016, and that's what's going on, folks. Now, top 10 list number 2. We're at number 2 now. It's become clear that Trump is using the whole wife distraction against Ted Cruz as a distraction, but that's misfiring against him now, because Ted Cruz is now soaring in the polls. But guess what? They're both Jesuits, so this wife distraction has failed for the two of them, right? I mean, everybody knows that Donald Trump's wife is a prostitute, and everybody now knows that Ted Cruz's wife works for Goldman Sachs. So, I mean, if Ted Cruz is backed by Goldman Sachs, so when he says that you should audit the Fed, are you really going to believe that? When he's got a wife that works for Goldman Sachs? And Donald Trump's just a filthy, disgusting pig. You see it now with his wife, who's a straight-up whore. And he's the pimp. So that's what you have nowadays, America. This is by far the worst presidential race in the history of the United States. It's disgraceful. It's disgraceful, folks. It makes you almost want to hide your American pride. It's so disgraceful.
It's like a bunch of court jesters. I mean, but it's obvious that Hillary's the queen, right? And everybody else is just a fucking jester.
And that's the thing. She's related to the queen, literally. And 1776 never happened because the British won that war too. And then the Nazis won that war too.
Yeah.
So the man in the high castle is real life. It's not fiction. But that show certainly sucks. That show stinks.
It was like a year and a half.
That show stinks.
Yeah, a year and a half ago, Israel had a fight with the Palestinians, and the Palestinians were holding up their babies with blood, all kinds of shit, right, with the empaths. And they told the Palestinians that they won. And in fact, they had more blood on their hands, but they did not, and they didn't win. In fact, that having all those bodies is a non-win. It's a lose-lose. And there was like 5 Israeli deaths. I mean, they've totally provoked the war. I mean, that's the whole thing, is that they're provocateurs, and they're being trained as a warlike country. Two, they're being used. They're pawns by the New World Order themselves. They're being taught with Nazi propaganda. The Palestinians, they're being indoctrinated, the ones in Gaza, to eventually obliterate and take over Israel. And there's nothing you could do to change their minds. You know, that's why they were asked, their families were asked at one point, they want to be a part of Israel or you want to be your own. They said they want to be their own. Says, okay, here, I'll go to Gaza.
First of all, you want to get into the Palestinian trip. The Palestinians aren't even Palestinians. They're Lebanese, they're Iraqi, they're Syrian.
Runaway Syrians.
They're everything. And guess what? They're also a part of the CIA's freaking varsity squad, ISIS. Okay? They're now a part of that. Hamas was created. All these
cheap labor.
All these Arabic terrorist organizations work for the Pentagon.
Cheap labor, Bruce. I mean, I'm sure they pay them like what? Like $1 a day? You know, getting a Palestinian need a job. Oh, come work for us. Okay, all right. You know, but that's how it is there. You know, it's just like it's mad propaganda news, but these people really
absolutely.
Yeah.
And with that being said, I believe I'm at number 2 now, folks. I believe I lost count. I don't know. I may have drank too many beers on the way to pick up Ja's art that it gave me a concussion, folks. But who knows? Who knows? I believe I'm at part 2. We have New York colleges move to strip gender markings from all bathrooms. Are you kidding me? It has become the total tranny agenda here. It literally has. So New York college moves to strip gender markings from all bathrooms. What's next? What's next, folks? You're going to have these criminals in there faking it that they're freaking ladies when really they're just going to, you know, attack and steal your lady's purse. And it's just going to be all-out crime. All-out crime. What do you think of this? What do you think of this story here?
Yeah, I agree. It's just going to attract
total degeneracy.
You know, if you look at where trannies, I don't have any issues with transvestites or any transgenders. I don't give a fuck. But if you see in certain areas in the world, the trannies will congregate. You know, when I was living in Brazil, you see them all hang out. And they were like, and it's, okay, there's one point you can be, classy and have a show. And then there's another level where they're total prostitutes. So they do come in all shapes and sizes, but there's a lot of prostitution. A lot of prostitution with those trannies, okay? Because they know that they can make their money and get their sex that way. You know, a lot of them are just, you know, gay men that put a wig on.
Well, let me tell you something. I was coming back from a Laker game. And on the way back from the Laker game, I was about to get on the freeway in downtown LA. You see this little Guatemalan man. And he's soliciting a huge, like 6'7" tranny. It's almost like that tranny could have played point guard or power forward for the Lakers, for the basketball game that I just came back from. And I saw it there. I mean, it's everywhere. They've popularized this. I mean, that's what the Masons are doing. They are trying to hypersexualize society. They're bringing trannies at the forefront. They're saying, oh, trannies got feelings too. Now they get a bathroom right next to you. Right? And that's what it is until they turn society into androgynous, just eunuch.
That's exactly what it said. If you look up eunuch and androgyny and transvestite, you'll see that is attributed to Ishtar. So
there you go, folks. And that is why this show has exposed the state's control over you, over your children, the deity they worship. I told you the deity that they worship, as they are sacrificing your children every day. Their minds are being sacrificed by Ishtar when you set them free and let them go into the school's halls, folks. They're being taught by Marxists. They're being taught by demagogues. They're being taught by perverts who are telling them that a tranny bathroom is going to arrive to their freaking school.
Yep. And at the same time, they're over in other countries robbing and pillaging their mines in Afghanistan. You know, they're taking all the minerals. They're taking all the rubies. You know what I'm saying?
They're
Burma.
taking all the rubies.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. Aren't those things like a dime a dozen, too? You
No.
get them anywhere the Queen's got them?
No, they're not. They're not. That's the whole thing. They're not.
Some of them are very precious.
No. They're all
That reminds me of when I was watching... That reminds me of when I was watching Aladdin, and the monkey, Abu, who's probably named after so many 7-Eleven caretakers now, clerks... Abu grabs a huge ruby out of a monkey's hand, and he was supposed to grab the ruby, and it just melted, and the whole place went to shit. These Arabic sages and their magic, folks.
Yeah, well, speaking of rubies, I have a few left over in conceptual subculture. You can go and get raw rubies from the Queen's mines, and they are actually, rubies are one of the most precious gems on Earth. They can cloud it with all their other names, and we know that diamonds are not. The rubies are way more higher end, and we do have like a pair of diamond earrings left. They kind of sold fast.
And where do they go?
You go to Etsy.com/shop/conceptual subculture. That's got the tribal. I got some real, raw rubies left. I think a couple of pairs drop, and these drop in sterling, really solid sterling, not silver plated. Or you can go to Etsy.com/shop.
It's 925 or 999 quality sterling silver that we have, folks. Beautiful, just super special, very wonderful. I mean, sanded down, smooth to perfection, just for you at Antique Obsessions.
Yeah, I don't think we have any 999 right now.
Etsy.com.
We don't have any 999 right now, but we will be bringing some in the future, along with more 14 karat and with some really cool ideas that we're working on. So things go really quickly. We have a lot of fabulous, fabulous customers. We are going to take a break, so we're not going to be able to do any custom orders, but there are still wonderful things that are on our stores. And the other store is Etsy.com/shop/Antique Obsessions with an S. It's one word. Or you could just type into Google Antique Obsessions or Conceptual Subculture. It'll connect you to both of those
stores. So
be
sure to go there, ladies and gentlemen. And for the best in organic tea, you want to support the Bruce Montalvo Show that's on live Fridays, 9 p.m. Eastern, on TalkStream Live. Be sure to go to LaCharmTUSA.com and use coupon code BruceNY, and you'll save 10% on the best organic tea on the market. That's LaCharmTUSA.com. My good friends over at LaCharmTUSA.com. And it's time for the number one news story on the top 10 list, folks. That's right. The very special, super wonderful top 10 list I didn't steal from David Letterman. And it's Donald Trump. That's right. He did it again. He's on the top 10 list, number one again, with his statements about Planned Parenthood, Planned Molochhood. Been talking about Baal and Saturn and just Illuminati child sacrificing from birth to this perception, this deception that they're not locked up in school and that school's become the prison industrial complex's best friend. They're prepping these children in school. But anyway, folks, Trump is saying that punishment for abortions unconscionable.
Yeah, it's a joke. It's unconscionable.
Unconscionable. That's right. That's a big word right there, folks. That's a tongue twister.
Yeah.
But he's redacting his statements, and pretty much he was destroyed by the libtard media. They went after him with these rabid questions by design that they didn't go after Hillary Clinton with. The tone with her was much more docile, and with him it was like rapid fire, let me make him mess up. And he did. He did, because he's stuck in his WWE character. He's just moronic and imbecilic, and they got him saying something stupid. But he's an expert at saying something stupid recently. That's why he's top 10 list, where he says punishment for abortion.
Yeah, it's obvious. It's such a joke. He knows better, and, obviously, if this country didn't have any abortions, and the same people are trying to prevent food stamps from proliferating and feeding a nation of immigrant babies. And I'm not
saying then he's for them, because they're not going anywhere. They're just And if anything, they are going places. Yeah, they're leaving America. They're not coming here. That's another thing. I mean, you could bash the immigrants all you want as well, but you also got to take note that they've been leaving America by the droves now.
Right.
So, I mean, Donald Trump's going to make them come back because they're going to build his wall.
Well, I mean, the ones that are here, I mean, it's like cheap labor and stuff. They have them in sweatshops. It's all over again. They just, they go to the parking lots and they pick them up with the trucks.
That's right. They offer them $3 and half an eaten cheeseburger, and that's what Donald Trump is all about. That's how he built up his crony capitalism, pretty much.
I mean, if you only pay a guy $3 or $5 an hour, or as opposed to like a union guy, I don't know what they would charge, $18 to $35 an hour. Somebody that's like legitimate. Wow, they'd be saving so much money that way, and you could actually profit, which is probably why Donald Trump is trying out, is playing the presidential race, because he knew how he was making money and profiteering.
He's just doing it for a tax break.
And now
in the end, he's going to tap out.
Yeah.
In the end, he's going to tap out to Hillary Clinton. He's going to tap out because it's by design. It's no different than WWF freaking wrestling, this GOP fake, false left-right paradigm, just a complete bipartisan establishment. You see them with Hillary when she's got her freaking pearls on, laughing the night away with Donald Trump. I mean, it really is just so obvious now, folks, that it's just a charade. It's just a farce. Your vote doesn't count. It will never count. I don't care if you truly believe in the communist chicken slanger from Brooklyn who should freaking play baseball for the Brooklyn Schmendricks. Freaking Michael Scavenge. That guy's not going to go anywhere. Just look at him. He's hanging out with fucking that anti-gun loser that doesn't know how to dress with the worst sense of dress, Spike Lee. I mean, it's a joke.
Yeah.
And with that note, we conclude the show.
Well, now it's time to say goodbye to all that company.
That's right. We're not going to sing no Disney fucking MK Ultra shit. You've been listening to the best there is, the best there was, el más chingón in alternative media, and the most bodacious babe from BK, Jaja, live.
Yeah.
Every Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern, from the epicenter of cool, Brooklyn, New York.
Yeah, and I wanted to say before was that, so I have my stuff on iTunes, and you could look up my music. Just look up Jaja, and you could start by checking out one of my songs, like supporting one of my newer singles, which is Break the Door Down, or Get Your Guns Up. I got a new video, working on it, piece of it tonight. We're about to release my next song and video, and we will have a new album coming up soon, but please support what I have already. You can even start by looking up Pop That.
And go to her YouTube channel. Jaja at YouTube. Ross Jaja at YouTube.
No, she's like Ross Jaja.
Just type in Jaja, white rapper, or a female rapper, Jaja.
Radioactive Jaja.
Here's what comes up. Here's what comes up on Google. Jaja and rapper. So you type that in, and you'll find her, folks. And be sure to go to her iTunes, go to her YouTube, Ross Jaja, and you can check her out at Twitter. Do the same thing with me at Bruce Montalvo at Twitter. Check out Exposed News, alternative.wordpress.com, exposednews.tv.wordpress.com. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, folks. The Bruce Montalvo Show at YouTube. That's our archive. If you're looking for a past show, go to Spreaker. We got our archives there and on YouTube. But with that, I conclude, folks, this show without any further ado. Thank you for listening to us. We're so gracious to have you in our company, folks. The best in alternative media. Bruce Montalvo and Jaja signing out from Brooklyn, New York.
Peace, y'all.
Adios.
Sayonara. Shalom. Shabbat shalom.